Hello, I just wanted to go over a couple quick things with respect to the practice test in math before our first real test on Tuesday. I'll start with this: create a repeating pattern with a core of 3 terms. It was very well done, but a common mistake was just students writing something like this. So I tried to explain to them today that this is not the way you want to write it, because it looks like 367 is one number, one big number, as opposed to 367, 367, 367. So this same pattern should be written maybe something like this, where you got lots of space and not bunched together, so that it looks, so each individual number is a separate number in the pattern. So that's a much better way to show that. So that's something that I highlighted today. Down here, most students have got this, but I really want, when they're identifying the pattern rule, to remember to use the phrase start at 45. Here you do start at 2. And then you'd follow up by what's happening. You could say add or increase 5 each time. So some students are forgetting the start part. In a repeating pattern like this one, it's not as important. It's not important to really identify where it starts. You could write that when you're writing the rule, it is a repeating pattern with a core of 5, 7, 5, 12. That's the best way to write it. It shows that they recognize that it's a repeating pattern, and they're using the term core, which is what we want. I'm going to go jump back to this. This one gave a few students some problems just because, and I'm going to practice this a couple more times leading up into Tuesday, because we haven't had too many examples of this. But what you want to do here is look at what's happening to these numbers. First it's going up by 1, then it's going up by 2, then it's going up by 3, then it's going up by 4. A few students just focused on this last part, said, okay, it's going up by 4, so they went 16, 20, 24. So obviously, if that pattern continues, it's going to go up by 5, and then 6, and then 30. Some people did this part properly and then had a hard time describing it, and that is a bit tricky. So what I'd like to do, and there's different ways to do this that are acceptable, but add 1, then increase the amount you add by 1 each time. It's a little bit wordy, but it works. So that's the first page. Here, we practiced this again today. These are probably kind of the 3 hardest questions that students still struggle with, and it's the thing that we've been practicing the most, and it's the hardest thing we're doing. The idea of finding this 50th pattern. Some students are just kind of keep going with the pattern. They're hitting the button on their calculator a bunch of times, which is getting them in trouble because they might be miscounting. So if we start here, this pattern is 5, then 7, then 9, then 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23. The multiplication way that I've tried to show them at 2 different ways now. The first way that I've shown them that you've seen is the term that you're trying to find, which in this case is 50, times what's happening with the pattern, which in this case it's going up by 2, plus what term 0 would be. So if we went back one space here, that would be a 3. So we would add 3 to that, and then you get 103. Another way they've been shown is take the term you're trying to find, subtract it by 1. So in this case, it's 50 minus 1 is 49. And then multiply by 2. So multiply by the pattern. And then add whatever term 1 is. So in this case, term 1 was 5. So we would add 5 to that, and you get the same answer of 103. Okay. There's still many students that are a little bit uncomfortable with that. We practiced it today, and more students got comfortable with it. This is the same type of question, but because it's a repeating pattern, it works a little bit differently. If students have a really good understanding of their multiples, they can see that this is a 3-core term. I keep telling them to start with the last number in the term and count by however many digits the core is. So we're going to count by 3s, so that's 3, 6, 9. And if you already recognize that you're going to land on 30, then you know that the 30th term is 1. But if we keep going, this is going to be the 12th, the 1 will be the 15th, 1 will be the 18th again, 21st, 24th, 27th, and then it'll land on 30. So 30th term is the 1. A common mistake here is a lot of students treated this question as if the same as they treat that one. So they treat it as a repeating pattern, and they came up with the answer that if you keep repeating these 6 numbers, the 30th time you're going to land on 18. So that was a common answer, but really we want to treat it the same way we treated this question, which if we follow that same idea, we could do 30 times 2 plus 6, or if we did it the other way, we do 30 minus 1 is 29 times 2 plus the first term here, which is 8. Either way, you're going to get 66, which is what we want. This was really well done. I'm going to skip it. And then this was really well done. This was really well done. This was a little bit harder. How much money will Emily and Sarah each have after 20 weeks? That word each is very important. Some students added their 2 amounts together, so the each tells us kind of not to. So if I carry this out, this was 100, then you're going up by 10s. A lot of students just kind of did this and kept going. So they kept going 200, 210, all the way to 290, which is a good way to do it. Another way you could do it is just, if you start at 190, once you've answered part A, so Emily starts with 190, and now we want to know what she's going to have after 20 weeks. This is after 10 weeks. You're just going to add 10 weeks times $10 each week, which is 100, equals 290. And that's an easy way to get there as well. And this one I think was, start at 10, so 25, 40, 55, 70, 85, 100, 115, 130, 145. So same thing here. A lot of students just did this and they kept going by 15s, and they got 295 here, which is a great way to do it. Another way I showed them is 145 plus you've got 10 more weeks times $15 each week. 10 times 15 is going to get you 150. So you add those two together and you get 295. That was the practice test. The real test will be slightly more challenging, but very similar. So if they have a really good handle on how to do these questions, they will do very well on the test. And we are coming along. We're going to keep practicing a little bit tomorrow and a little bit on Monday, and everybody should be in pretty good shape on Tuesday.